We are expecting some frost, so I went out and harvested all of my parsley. There's a few little yellow leaves in here, so I'll have to pick those out. But then I'll show you a super easy way to preserve this stuff. To separate those leafy greens from the sort of stringy stems, the easiest way I found to do it is to make a bouquet. And don't worry about how long the stems are in the bottom. Just try to get all the greens to line up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to put down the phone to do this, but I'm literally just going to use my hand and rip off all the green leaves. So now you can see I've got leaves in the bowl and I've still got the stems in my hand. I don't worry about the random little leaves that are down lower because I have so much here, it's no big deal. Those stems I'm going to put in a separate bowl because I'm going to do something different with those. You saw that big pile I brought in, so now what I've done is I've got the stems that are going to be a little bit chewy over here. I've got all the tender leaves and their stems in a big bowl here. And then I have all the stuff that I just sort of picked through and thought, it's probably not worth the trouble. And that's going to go to the goats because they don't mind if it's got little blemishes. They'll still love this parsley. So now I have completely stuffed my food processor with those leaves. And I'm going to pour olive oil in the top. It doesn't really matter how much because I can always add more parsley leaves if I need to. Then I'm going to pulse it and you're going to see it's going to start to chop this up from the bottom up. You see how the top is getting sucked in. All right, that's pretty good. So now I'm going to open it up and use a wooden spoon just to push down the sides. All right, so I just kind of stirred that up. I have a few random stems. I'm going to need to pulse this one more time. But you can see it's got this nice olive oil and parsley texture. That's about where I want it. And so I'm going to freeze it this way. So now with that olive oil and parsley stuff, I basically just stick it on a sheet tray on top of a silpat and make little mounds and stick it in the freezer. Once it's frozen, then I can bag it up and I can have these little mounds of parsley to use later. With the stems, just kind of cut them up straight in a bowl just to make them smaller. Take your scissors and cut them into pieces, and that way they'll fit a little bit easier into the food processor. That's it. For the stems, because the texture is not so nice, you really want to put that through the food processor until it almost becomes a smooth paste. So I just pureed most of that, but there's still some stems in there. I'm throwing in some salt, and I also threw in some lemon juice. And I've got a lot of olive oil so that it stays nice and moist, and I'm going to run it through till it's almost smooth. So you can see it's just kind of like a nice big gloopy mess. And so I'm going to put some of that in a plastic container and put it in the freezer. And I'm going to put some of it in a container and put it in the fridge. And this stuff, just seriously, throw it in everything because parsley is super nutritious. You can put it in the yogurt that I showed you how to make the other day to make your own yogurt sauces. You can throw it in your eggs and blend it up and then cook it all together in the pan. You can use it in your salad dressings. It's really good for anything. It's such a great way to get lots of parsley phytonutrients into your diet. I saved some of that lovely parsley stem in olive oil and I'm just pouring some yogurt into it. And then we'll stir it up. Final step, just add a little salt and pepper to taste and some fresh garlic and you've got yogurt sauce.